Okay, so let's say the requirement is username field should have minimum 6 and maximum 30 characters. Okay, that is the requirement. And okay, so I actually segregated the same requirement to two just to explain DV and DCP. So the requirement should look like username field should have minimum 6 and maximum 30 alphanumeric characters. Okay, that is one single requirement. So I just segregated into two just to explain you this concept. So then you should write a test scenario for this and test case or test cases for this, right? Now, how many scenarios you want to cover this requirement? You can cover any number of scenarios, right? You can also test with one single lettered username, 2 letters, 3 letters, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 31, 32, 33 until 100. Okay, so how many scenarios you came up with just now? 100. Okay, so what is the problem with this 100 test scenarios or 100 test cases? Anybody?
It's time consuming.
Time taking, obviously. So it will take a lot of time. It's not a feasible idea and it's not optimized. So you need to actually optimize these many scenarios. You should still check these scenarios, but still you should optimize this. So what is the solution? So solution is boundary value analysis. Without having to cover all these scenarios, you still have to cover all these scenarios. So simply by following this technique, you can make sure that so minimum is 6, max 30, and the BVA or boundary value analysis says just cover minimum minus 1, minimum plus 1, maximum minus 1, and maximum plus 1. So this will also cover some positive scenarios, some negative scenarios. That means pass and fail scenarios. Okay, and you can this way make sure that all scenarios are covered, rest assured. Okay, so minimum in this case is 6, and according to the requirement 6 is the acceptable scenario. So you should expect pass. That means everything must go as intended, no errors. Now I can cover minimum minus 1, 6 minus 1, which is 5, and obviously 5 is not acceptable as per the requirement. So that should fail. That means it should either display error message or should not let you go past the login field. That is purely dependent upon the how the rest of the requirements are set. So you should take couple of requirements into consideration, because just by looking at one requirement may not give you suitable idea, so sufficient idea. So you should take a look at one more requirement, then you'll make an opinion about it. And max minimum plus 1, which is 7, which is also pass, because 7 is lying between 6 and 13, so it's fine. Maximum is 30, it's pass. Maximum minus 1, 29, which lies between 6 and 30 range, so it's pass. Max plus 1, 31, which is beyond the range, so it's fail. That's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenarios will cover everything. Whatever is a user field range is, you just cover these. So you can ask, do you want to create 6 test cases? No, you don't even have to cover 6 test cases. You can just cover 1 test case for this and cover this data in terms of steps in the same test case. So you first try with pass minimum, right? And also you cover password, right? You have to keep in that mind. So then the whole combination story changes. Then you check with the right correct user ID, wrong password, correct password, wrong user ID, blah blah blah. There will be 4 scenarios, right? Right, wrong, wrong, right, wrong, wrong. So all these. So just by I am fixing everything else, I am just by looking at the user ID field. So you cover these in the same. So how do you cover? You actually pass the login, then you log out and again check the minimum -1 fail. It will pose an error code. So then again you pass max minimum +1, so it will pass. Again you come back to the login screen. So it's a repetition. You can say go to the step 1 and again repeat this and take this data and go to step 1. So likewise in the same test case you can repeat so that you can save the time too. And automation wise it will be very easy because you can easily data drive this. That we will discuss later though. Okay, so that is a boundary value analysis, and this actually relates to the size. So this actually relates to size because we are just treating these numbers. I mean, we are just playing with these numbers. The size matters when it comes to BVA. Now, what about the alphanumeric characters? The requirement 2 says username should only have to be mentioned in alphanumeric, no special characters in that sense. Okay. Now that is taken care by the equivalence class partitioning, or in short known as ECP. Okay, so this is different kind of technique. So you just make a table like type, verdict, and example in the sense test data. Okay, data is test data, the data you're going to actually enter in the application. Okay, so there are 4 types only: small a to z, capital A to z, 0 to 9, and special characters. So small letters, capital letters, numbers, and special characters. Okay, now the example, I'll go to the example. This is all in small. Let's say Rahat is 1 user ID, and it is obviously you have to meet this BBA. So just to not to play with it, I will take the positive scenarios for this. Okay, either 6 or 30 or anywhere in between, not the fail, because if I take fail, obviously this will fail too. So let's not do that. Let's fix the BBA right and come back to ECP. So Rahal, so this is a valid scenario or not? It is a valid scenario because it's 6, that's fine. And as for the alphanumeric nature is concerned, it is alphanumeric. Okay, so it's pass. Now let's say capital A to Z, right? Capital A to Z, all caps, doesn't say anything about it, so it's alphanumeric and it's pass. And numbers, I can take pure numbers or mix. Okay, so that you can cover 2. 1 to 3 is also pass, right? Or 1 to 3 is pass. I'll specify different combinations here instead. Okay, so when I say comma, don't take comma as a character in user ID. So it's just segregation. Or 1 to 3, or Rahat. These are all good candidates for the username. Okay. Now let's take one fail scenario. So special character. So instead of just special character, I am mix and matching. Okay, so I am putting alphanumeric special. That one example will suffice. So when it just check back with the requirement, alphanumeric characters only, and I am covering alpha and numeric, but also I am covering special. So it's not acceptable. So hence it's fail. So this is the BVA and ECP. Now you mix and match these. You don't have to cover these separately because it's a single requirement which is aggregated. So you mix and match. You take the minimum 6 and match with some alphanumeric minimum and take maximum. All right, maximum you mix and match, and just for the negative, you just cover with one of these. You take somewhere like minimum +1 pass scenario and take the special character one, and that would result in fail. So it's all according to your decision. So use your due diligence and mix and match so that you can cover all of these in singular 2 or 3 test cases minimum. Now you don't have to mention a whole lot of test cases for just for the field validation. Okay, so then comes cause and effect analysis. So cause and effect analysis is nothing but if you do something, something will happen. If you do something else will happen. So based on if else these condition, you obviously have to incorporate these kind of technique implicitly in during the course of test case creation or test execution. So this is definitely covered. So it's most like if else so happen, then finally this happens. Cause effect graphing is rarely used, so it's mostly related to graphing, how the graphing is going on. Error guessing is mostly intuitive, I would say, because before testing you would know for a fact that okay, this is going to fail here. So without having to come up logically, without having to use BV and ECP, okay, I know that if I enter in just special characters in the username, just special characters in the password, it's not going to be successful, right? And it's not even during the sign up. If you mention username all special, password all special, it's not going to let you sign up successfully. So you already know that. Based on, how do you know that? Based on the previous experience. So intuitive. This is mostly intuitive. So you guess it and you just cover that scenario. So without having to look at, there is no solid requirement also. Okay, this is it's like implicit requirement. It's not explicitly mentioned anywhere. So just to cover those, you just adopt this error guessing technique. Okay, so homework for you already written. So I'll give the same homework for you. This, let's say, requirement number 3. And this states password should be minimum 5 characters, all right, and maximum 30 characters with alphanumeric and special characters having at least 1 capital letter. Okay, so password must have at least 1 capital, which is true nowadays. Everybody is putting this condition. Now you write different conditions of come up with different BB and ECP, just like we did for the user ID. Now you come up with this. So all you do is this one. Just write this analysis: min minus 1, min plus 1, max minus max plus 1, and A to Z 0 to 9 special. That's all you have to do. Okay. So this is your homework.